Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Tammy Tuckey Show. My name is Tammy Tuckey, and it's good to see you. So before we start, we have a special guest this evening, and I thought he'd kind of introduce himself and his business back from his 1995 infomercial. So here.
Welcome to TNT Amusements. I'm going to give you a guided tour of our facility. Come on in. The best place to start, of course, is our showroom, where we feature all of our games that we sell. Our showroom is now expanded, you'll see some of the new rooms, to over 3,500 square foot, featuring over 100 games. A lot of people want to see just what's inside a pinball machine. Underneath, we find a maze of wires and light bulbs. But one thing you should be always careful of is, for goodness sakes, don't drop the plate. See, I caught a few of you sleeping during my infomercial. Please don't sleep.
And he's right. Please don't sleep, because I'm excited to welcome the owner of TNT Amusements and my dad, Todd Tuckey.
Here I am, guys.
You've made it. Look at you.
Live and in color.
That's right. Very important that you're live and in color this evening. And we could see your beautiful background with all your pinball machines.
Look, you don't think that's fake, do you? Oh,
no.
God, it's a green screen.
Oh, no.
I'm the king of green screen. Remember, look, I can't show you my messy office.
Well, a lot of people know you, besides being my dad, and also your arcade and pinball legend in general, because of TNT Amusements, because you've owned the business for quite some time. We won't mention the years. Too many years. Too many years. But a lot of people don't know that your passion was film first.
Yes.
So you went for film in college, but before you got to do film, as a kid, you were doing shows with your brother, and Uncle Rob is actually in the chat room. He says, don't forget tax and freight. That's right.
Tax and freight.
So you started doing shows with your brother in the garage, right? And in the basement, and had friends come over. And then suddenly you have this movie theater and you're showing actual 16 millimeter films. Yeah. So where do you think the passion came to have film and run it and work with it?
That's easy. My father had 8 millimeter movies, and he was passionate about filming. He always filmed in Kodachrome. So we have home movies that he started filming back in early as 1939. A lot of them. The color's still beautiful. He took thousands of Kodachrome slides, and then he bought cartoons in black and white on film, silent. And I loved splicing and editing them. And that when I was little. And he let me work the projector. I still have the projector. It's a 1939 Kodak projector. It still runs. You can still get bulbs for it. So I still have the projector. We don't run 8 millimeter anymore, obviously, but I had it all transferred to digital and such. But that was quite something. So that's where it started. And then I bought my first projector when I was 13 years old, a 16 millimeter Movie Mite. In 1969, it was $90. And I bought it with my own money. And I kept that projector for, I think, 4 or 5 years. It ran hundreds of reels on it. And you could, back then, you could buy film pretty cheap, but nothing good. But you rented a lot of movies.
What was one of the first films you can remember running that wasn't a home video?
I still own the first color cartoon I ever bought. It's a 20th Century Fox Mighty Mouse called Triple Trouble. And can you believe I'm still running it to this day here at TNT Amusements? I purchased that when I was 13 years old. It still runs fine. There's a couple more splits.
I love watching it when you have it on there.
It's a great cartoon.
Here I come to save the day. That's not in that one, is it?
Yes.
I'm trying to remember. Yeah, right?
Oh, yeah. The Pearl Pure Heart is always in a crisis. But I still have that cartoon.
I have some clips and photos throughout the evening I'll be sharing because I
Okay.
want to see if you could tell us stories about some of these special moments in your life. But also, I just want to remind people, if you're in the chat, you're more than welcome to ask your questions, and I'll try my best to pull them up on the screen. One person says, Monk1344 says, "My word, this man is a treasure."
Oh, tell my wife
Scott
that. I
Scott
wonder,
Rubin
Tammy,
says
are you
Todd was
watching?
fixing YouTube when it was an actual tube. And yes, mom is watching. So she
Mom,
will be chatting. No, mom
that's
is
mother.
she'll be chatting along. So here's a special moment, and I think a lot of people will be really excited to see this. Tell us who this person is in this photo and how you got to meet them.
Okay. Aha. That is Mel Blanc, and that is me with a little goatee. I had a Polaroid camera. I took one picture with him when I sold him some cartoons. Can you believe Mel Blanc couldn't buy 16 millimeter cartoons of Warner Brother cartoons? And he needed them when he did the college appearances. He appeared at Villanova University near my house. And a friend of mine, Adam Sargis, was really good friends with Mel Blanc. Mel Blanc even recorded answering machine messages for him. And I got to meet the man and sell him some cartoons too. And I did photocopy one of his checks to prove it. He also signed some cells too. So it was really nice. It was what a meeting. And that was Mr. Mel Blanc. He took us out to dinner, Adam and I, and we sat in this diner and he would start talking in all of his voices. It was so much fun. It was unbelievable. One lousy picture. Oh God! But of course there were no cell phones.
But a lot of memories with it.
At least I took that Polaroid. You can still see the color blotch at the bottom when it stuck out. You know they were never perfect, but the color held up all these years.
It's a good shot. Puck Chucker says, "I bet Todd still has that shirt. Do you?"
Do you think I could fit in that? God, that looks like that looks. Tammy, doesn't that shirt sort of look like the window curtains in the kitchen? So
well, so when you were in college, you focused mainly on film. That was your major at
yeah, I
Temple,
majored in
right?
film. Yes, so I went to college. Filmmaking was and in Temple they had this horrible course, RTF 101. It was designed to get rid of anybody that wasn't serious about film and broadcasting. It was a horrible course. Horrible. Oh my gosh. Most of the people dropped out. But it was designed that way to get rid of the slackers. I remember it was massive class in this auditorium. And then following semester, there was a fraction of the people left because they all flunked or dropped out. So, but that was kind of fun.
Oh, I do want to add, thank you, Stringer Films, for the donation. He wants you to add your shirt to your next best offer sale.
If I kept that shirt, that would have been neat.
Well, here's your lovely wife, Tam Tuckey. She says, what was your favorite movie? What was your favorite film back in that time during your college years?
College years, of course, there was only one film, the Rocky Horror Picture Show. My.
Thing.
That was I had a 16 millimeter print of it with the missing song Superheroes because of my friend Adam. I think he might be watching. He was able to take the 35 millimeter clip out of the TLA cinema and have a 16 struck of it. We were the only 16 print that had that song in it because the release prints didn't have it. It was cut out because it was too downbeat because they all die. They didn't want that to happen. They wanted to make it like they lived. So they cut that song out. But I ran that at a lot of parties. Oh,
Uncle Rob says we watched Rocky in Todd's basement.
That's right. We screened hundreds of films in our basement theater. We called it Tuckey's Basement Theater. And Uh,
Mom wants to remind us that you met Meatloaf over COVID via
I did
video
over
chat.
COVID. I was able to talk to Meatloaf before he passed away. My daughters bought me. Was it you, Tammy?
Yeah, Terry and I think both
They
got
bought
you a
me.
special.
It was a one question.
No, it was 5 minutes or 2 minutes with him. And how many minutes did you
We
actually get
talked
with
for
him?
over 20 minutes. He was such a nice guy. And he says, I'm not going to do this 2 or 3 minute thing. That's ridiculous. And we talked for a long time. And I told him the stories I just told you about the film and how I loved this stuff. And he was so nice. So nice.
Yeah, we'll miss him. Scott says, put this towards whatever project you're working on. Hold that thought, Scott, because my dad is a part of the next project. And we'll talk about that towards the end of the show. Here's a question. If Todd would design his own pinball machine, what theme would he choose? Or what movie?
Oh, I don't know. What
You know all the pinball machines that have had all the movies that have had a pinball machine. Is there one that you would have liked to have had a pinball machine? I think for me, I like anything with Disney.
I think I would love to see A Christmas Story pinball.
Oh, that's a good one. I like that idea.
I think it would appeal year round, but I think I would like that. I would also like to see possibly a pinball on the animated masterpiece, Spirited Away.
Ooh.
That's about the little girl and her family. They get lost in an abandoned amusement park. And the film is so friggin' great. So
that's a good one.
To see something based on that.
Oh, I would love that. And then you could have like the little spirits running around and then No Face.
God, there's so many
would disappear and appear.
Oh, that movie is one of my top 10 movies of all time.
Good question. Good question. So let's actually show a film that earned you an A- in class. So let's show a little segment of it.
Oh, segment.
Not the whole thing. No, we're going to just show a segment because if you want to see the whole thing, you can go on his TNT Amusements YouTube page and type in short film Todd Tuckey and see the whole thing. But here's a little bit, and we'll talk a little bit right after we show this. So here we go.
Every day is pretty much the same now. My wife, Marion, died just about 4 years ago. That was just before I was due to retire.
So that was your dad, and I never got to meet him because he passed away before I was born. But how did you get him involved on your final project?
I proposed the script. It was partially fiction. We were supposed to make a documentary, and I convinced my professor of doing this production with him, and he approved it, even though it wasn't 100% factual. But, I stretched, I embellished. So, but the film worked. I got an A-, and a lot of you know, Bob Saget and I both got an A- in that class. We were the only 2 A- because the teacher doesn't give A's. And it was 10 minutes. I did the whole thing myself. I lit it, soundtrack. I wrote the music that's at the end. I did everything myself. And on 16 millimeter black and white. The color was out too expensive. But it was interesting. I learned a lot about editing. I did.
And you had a lot of baby pictures of you and Uncle Rob with
That's
your
right, in the
parents
beginning.
that I
Yeah,
had never seen before when I first saw the film.
Yes. So then the noise you heard, the buzzing, was the alarm clock. It works better when you see the whole show, but you can watch it on our channel.
I think it's a 9-minute short film, and it's really great to see the old house again because, pretty much everything is the same as I remember it as a kid, except the extension that was in the dining room.
Right.
But,
the
that
house
was
is gone now.
1978.
Yeah, the film was made in 78, and I think the copyright was 78, I think. Temple copyrighted it. They copyright everything. And the only thing I got out of it, there was no videotape, so I got one 16mm release print. So, and unfortunately, I had a couple splices in it already, but I ran it a bunch of times, but, that's all I got.
Well,
so.
Our friend Lisa Smith says your dad was an awesome and sweet guy.
Thank you very much, Lisa. That was very kind of you to say that.
And Uncle Rob says it makes me feel like he's still with us.
Yes.
Yeah, Uncle Rob, you look just like him. It's when I was watching it again, I was like, oh, that's Uncle Rob right there.
You're right. You're right. He does. He does look a lot like him. It's amazing.
Jerry,
So, really
our famous director friend, Jerry, we love you, says he looks very heartfelt.
Jerry, you've been very good to us. Tammy, you should all note, Jerry Reese was Tammy's very first interview. My gosh, Tammy.
Well, on my newer podcast. My first interview was with Helen Reddy, and then we got to know Jerry because I loved his Back to Neverland short film, which is also 9 minutes long. And
but
that's
Jerry
the one that I grew up with.
His masterpiece is Cinemagique.
We can go on and talk about that all day long.
Well, I think everybody here would agree. A good movie is a movie you enjoy and watch once or twice. But a great movie gets better every time you see it.
Mm-hmm.
The Wizard of Oz,
that's right.
Rocky Horror Picture Show.
And we'll put a nail in the word Cinemagique because we'll talk about that too towards the end. Scott says, what a tribute to your dad. Stringer Film says that was really cool.
Thank you, Matt.
Elvis says, I'm learning so much about you, Todd. This is great. Oh, Gino has a good question. He says, should you shoot a remake and have you play the dad instead? Well, we're not in a sad movie. Hopefully we don't need to go into sad movie. His would probably be more dancing of Living is Good, like a full music video.
Is good. Woo! Living is good.
And Puck says such a touching tribute.
Thank you, Chuck.
Yeah. And Jerry says, thank you so much, you two. Of course. Are you kidding me? So
Jerry's my hero.
He's all of our heroes. So you got me started on early driving.
Look at that, Tammy. How old were you there? You were
like probably 9 months.
I of course worked the gas pedal. I actually got that particular game back in trade, and I had it in my bargain basement. I finally sold it, I think, for $800 or $900. That was a turbo outrun driving game, but a little one. I couldn't fit in it now. It's so little. But
we wouldn't be able to fit together. Darn.
Oh boy. I guess if we came out of the roof.
What's the story behind this picture?
That one, of course, was in Las Vegas. I went to a pinball show, and I won first place in diagnosing the Twilight Zone problems. It was a contest. They fixed things. They set things up to try to see if you could figure out what all the problems were. And not only did I find all the problems, I found an extra one they didn't know about. And then I won second place for mechanicals. So I was happy with second place in the mechanicals. But I got an award for first place. And of course, Tammy went there, and she was thrilled to be part of my award. She knew all about it, didn't you, Tammy?
Mom says it was in Chicago.
No. This was the pinball. No.
Uh-oh. They're going to start fighting. No, just kidding.
This was Vegas. That was Vegas.
I think this was Vegas, though, Mom.
Show. was Vegas.
Because this is right around the age I was when you guys took me to the Debbie Reynolds Film Museum, because we have some pictures of that too.
That was in Vegas, Pam. I'm
Yes.
having an argument with my wife on screen.
Uh-oh. She likes watching. She's excited. Jerry says, Todd, do you still love the tactile aspect of the old school film and projectors?
Absolutely. Well, that's why I just bought this reel of cartoons, actually. They're a dye transfer Technicolor. I took a chance because he didn't know what they were, and they all 5 of them are. I love cartoons. I love films. I love the aspect of threading the projectors. And most important, everybody here, do you know I run film 7 days a week here? And the people love looking up in the booth and seeing the projector with the film coming off. I have the booth lit so you can see it. I have a big window because I wanted people to see that we weren't just running the easy way out, the DVDs. So we're running the real thing, the real deal.
No laser discs?
Laser discs.
No Betamax?
Good old laser disc. Never
Matt
clear,
says Matt says, how much did your first infomercial cost? And what year was that?
It was $500. Well, see, technically, my first infomercial I aired on TV started in 95. We filmed it in the camera. It was a Sony home camera, and on the top of it, there was a forward reverse button. So if we made a mistake, we could back up and pick up at the scene. We couldn't edit it. However, we took the camera and set it down on a table, and we ran it through Kurt. Kurt's still with me. Kurt's been with me since 83. 1983, Kurt's been a full-time employee. And he had I think it was an Omega computer, and it had a video port. So you could actually add titles. So he would type the titles, and then we made each copy for the station right to what they used, a Super VHS back then. You gave them a tape, Super VHS. So we had to make one of those Super VHSs off the main to keep the quality up. And we sent it to the station. And they would run it so much they would wear out the tapes. Honest to God, they say we need another tape. So Kurt would have so we made a stack of these Super VHS tapes. We didn't want to keep making copy of copy, so we always came off the master to make sure they stayed as clear as they could. And it was actually in stereo too. We were broadcasting this $500. I figured we had about 500 into it, and broadcast. Now, toward the end, when I went off the air, my last broadcast was 2013. We went from Super VHS to Sony Beta SP. And can you believe up until 2013, the TV stations wanted Sony Betamax tape, SP. The quality was gorgeous, but I couldn't make them. So I had a company that would transfer the tapes for me, and then they also required closed captioning for the deaf. And then he wrote the script out. He would type it in, and it would appear on the screen if you selected that. So we went off the air finally in 2013. Why should I pay to broadcast the show? And we only had about 6
put it on YouTube.
When we could put it on YouTube. I do have all the episodes up, though. The original telecast, that was 30 minutes. It was actually 28 and a half minutes. And then the 58 and a half minute hour-long show is on YouTube. And then the subsequent
follow-ups.
Yes, I can't remember what I called the show. We tried everything. Now, remember, I made video before that, but they were only run at trade shows. So we put an old 19-inch TV set and a VHS player, and then we would run back to back. I would run the 30-minute or whatever we did over and over again. It would play for 2 hours, and we'd rewind and play it again to get people to buy games because there was no internet. The only way
those were fun trade shows. I remember those because you would always have your booth by the playground set. So we would play games and then we'd go over to the playgrounds.
Yeah, Tammy went down to Slane. Oh, we had a lot of fun at those shows.
I miss those. Did they do them anymore?
I don't miss the setups. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, the setups and takedowns
I
are
tried
not fun.
so many different marketing techniques. We were in the center. We would go Friday through Sunday in a mall. Thursday night we'd show up after the mall closed at 10 and set up our booth, a piece of carpet in the center, and put games out, big overhead signs, and then we would maintain. The mall usually opened at 10. We were there from 10 to 10 Friday and Saturday, and 10 to 6 Sunday. We broke the showdown Sunday. People would come up to the booth. I say, we have games for sale. Here's a price list. Come and see us. We do birthday parties. We got a lot of party people that way. Because remember, I was the first private party place in the world to offer a private party because we weren't allowed to be open for public play. It started in 87, and we've done over 25,000 parties. There's one going on right now. These are my regular people. Believe it or not, tonight, this is a special group. Every year they book 3 hours. They play games for 2 and have the pizza. My pizzas are $6. And then the last hour, we play hide and seek. The kids love it. These kids have been coming. They've been coming 5 years now. So I play with them. So after your show, Tammy, I'm going to be playing hide and seek.
You're going to have fun. Hey, Jerry says, what projector is your favorite to thread? This is a specific question. I'd like to hear.
The most gentlest projector in the world was always the RCA, the 500 series. They were the best machines, the most gentlest. And they only had 2 sprocket wheels. They touched the film almost nowhere. So we're very gentle to the film. The problem is the repair and the take-up system was atrocious. It used a spring belt. And when the belt broke, the film went in a lump all over the place. So I use Bell & Howes in the booth here. Now, my Bell & Howes are the newer ones that were made 35 years ago.
I was going to say newer?
Newer ones. We call them Helen Bows, but they're auto thread because sometimes the girls have to go up and thread the projectors themselves. I had to have a simple system, but I clean the projectors every week with Q-tips and stuff. And the films have survived very nicely over these years. And once again, I'm still running films I bought, 50 years ago. And that's something.
Elvis has a question, and I think it's a legitimate question for those who don't know you. Why did you name your company TNT Amusements?
Elvis, you should know. Todd N. Tuckey. My middle name is Nichols. TNT. My mother thought that would be cute. So, to get even, I named Tammy TNT, right?
Yes.
Tammy Nicole Tuckey and Terry Noreen Tuckey.
My sister.
My wife does not share those initials, just the T on the end.
Analyzer says, how did your infomercials hit nationwide attention?
I was actually nominated. They had this big show down in Florida where they were selling shows and this one man said to me, he's the guy I used to buy the airtime with. They actually brokers. The guy would call you on the phone and say, look, I got a 5:30 to 6 p.m. Tuesday night that just got canceled by nationwide contract. I can give you that half hour for $150. And that's like when everybody's sitting down to dinner. I said, I'll take it. I was a cheap one. I bought all the cheap slots. But he took my show down to a big show down in Florida. And he wanted people who said, oh, infomercials are expensive and all that. Yeah. And he says, let me show you an infomercial that was shot in a home camera that's been run hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times. And then that got me nominated into the Broadcast Pioneers of Philadelphia, so which I'm a member. So that brought me some notoriety. I mean, I actually would be with a lot of these broadcast icons, sitting down at luncheons and dinners together, right next to people that are way above me. I say, wow, this is so neat. But it was neat. It's kind of nice to be recognized for that old show. People still remember the hand gag. I only used the hand gag in 1995. Just the one time I used it 4 times. Everybody
But it's a
remembers.
classic. It's like a Three Stooges, you know, slap.
I'm going to bring the rubber hand. I'm going to bring that rubber hand back. I have a fake rubber hand now that I keep on the prop table, but I haven't gotten my hand stuck in anything since.
Is that the Monster Mania pinball rubber hand?
I think no, it was a class of 1812.
That one, yes, that one, because we
class-
have it in the
we have one
basement
in our
here.
basement.
Yeah.
Yes, please. Yeah.
Well, everybody asks me, you got to grow up going to TNT? Yes, literally, in a pinball.
Yes, I built that crib. You know what? I wondered what happened to that picture. That's Tammy asleep. She's 6 months old, and I built the crib out of the body is actually a wide body Stellar Wars. It's not a black hole, because the Stellar Wars was the widest cabinet of all time, and it would fit a full-size baby mattress in there. So there's actually a mattress in there, and then we have the baby bumper around it. But I mounted the black hole head on the back. I took all the electronics out of the bottom of the black hole and hung it behind it, out of view. You can't see it, the transformers, and actually got the game running. So the displays show the high score to date. The motor in the back spins. So it looks like a functioning game, but there's no play field. And if you notice,
like
if
the
you look
little
carefully, read what I wrote on the sign above it, Tammy. Go ahead.
It says the pinball machine is this amount of money, but with baby, it's $28,000.
I think it's $1,199, $1,200, or 25. Well, I had to establish a price for you, Tammy.
I hope it's raised by now.
I actually resurrected the head and used the head in another machine, Tammy. So,
lives on. And I have one of the little. I think I have the little face that you see on the little.
Tammy saved that face.
I did.
We
save
found
that.
it later in her room when we tried to sell. You know, just if you're a family man or mother, you always resurrect you resell or sell to a consignment shop the things that kids grow out of. And that little thing that Tammy liked, that mobile, Tammy took one of the parts off of it and kept it, and mother never found it, so she couldn't sell it. Yeah, she's got her little head poked out there, doesn't she, Jerry?
This is 2 years later.
Well, you can see what I was selling. There's a Rescue 911, and believe it or not, a live pinball. I think that was $300. But back then the pinballs were cheap.
Matt says, "Do you have any long-term effects from the many hand injuries you sustained while filming?"
That was the rubber hand.
I think he's
never
joking with you.
Well, back then we blew up one of those hands that the nurses put on, and then we painted it pink until we graduated to the rubber hand. So back then it was very low budget, baby. These were low budget, no budget. I bought the guys pizzas.
And everybody knows that you not only do you have a love for pinball and film and arcade games, but you also have a love for Disney. So we did this like little tradition we started back when we started going there in 1998, and the second clip is from 2001. So here's a little clip from from two different trips of ours, first 1998 and 2001.
Oh,
is that good? Can I have some? Why not?
Oh, that's my creamer.
That's mine.
Your daddy's coffee.
Mine.
He needed to be spanked.
To you. To you. Sam. To you. That's right. We're going to do a toast to Tammy.
Toast to Daddy.
And to everybody here.
A toast to Tammy.
And to Daddy.
Wow.
And where was that at?
That was one of our favorite places at Disney World, at Epcot's Garden Grill. And it remains a favorite. We have 5 places we try to go to every single year we go down. And we've been down about 30 times now.
Yeah, we've been there way too many times. So say other people, but we just love it. We'll keep going back. And you and I just went to Disneyland in September, which is a little bit different. So, but we still have such a big affinity for Disney. So tell me about this photo and what we're doing here.
Oh gosh. Where did I get that shirt? That exhibit disappeared. When you lifted it up, if you look in the corner, you can see the black stopper near the hinge. Did it belch? I don't remember. It would make noises, and Tammy would want to open up each lid. That was in Hollywood Studios.
Uncle Rob says it's our old mailbox. No, it's actually not. It is in Hollywood Studios, MGM Studios.
MGM.
Yes. So right
MGM
behind
back
us.
then.
So this is apparently, because I don't remember this. This is the first trip we went on at the beginning of '98, and this was the Roger Rabbit exhibit that they had, plus
Right.
the store. So behind us is the that machine. I'm blanking on the name of it, but it's the one that runs over Doom. Dr. Doom, I think is his name. Right? Christopher Lloyd's character, the bad guy, it rolls over him and it's supposed to go through this wall. So if you look at the full view of it, it's like it ran through the wall. And then this was supposed to be the warehouse from the end of the film where there were all these boxes of cartoon characters in them. So when we would open these
pretty
up,
quick.
Yeah, when we would open it up and go, woo! Yeah. But I found this picture because I know we talked about it, and then one time we went and they weren't there anymore, and the whole exhibit is kind of been removed, I think, for the expansion of Star Wars and Toy Story, but they used to have these real fun things to do in the parks. Judge Doom, thank you. That's Justin, a friend of mine. Hi, Justin. He had me on his podcast, and he focuses just on Roger Rabbit. So sorry, Justin, I should know better. I do know my Roger Rabbit, but I'm kind of like,
Roger Rabbit is such a great film. My gosh, it's such a great film.
Yes. Oh, Puck says he thinks you still have that shirt.
I went through the shirts. When we moved, I got rid of a lot of stuff. There's no point. I'm never going to fit in that stuff again. I wish I could have that brown beard again.
Joe wants to know if you can come to the next Retro WDW festival that they have for the podcast, because that's the one a lot of people know. I've been going to those.
Down too.
And then my mom says, I love my purple coat. I did. I love that purple coat. Purple was my color, and it was a comfy coat. So I do love that.
Stirring all these great memories. See, look at that.
Chris says he does remember that. Gino says the Roger Rabbit area. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Look at that.
Justin has a question. Are there any Roger Rabbit pinball machines in existence?
They missed the boat on that because I guess it would have been too difficult to license, because you had Disney and Warner Brothers and Walter Lands and all these studios, Paramount. I guess they must have gone through hell to license Roger Rabbit. Just think of that. My God.
Analyzer likes it that I'm not telling you what photos I'm showing. Well,
Lenny.
my mom and dad kept asking. They were like, what are you going to ask? What are you going to do? Well, it's a surprise. It's fun.
Yeah,
So
Tammy,
here's another
I
surprise.
had no idea what she was going to show or ask tonight. So she said,
So here's another surprise. There's a reason I have my Doug and Patty Mayonnaise little Funko Pops behind me, and also our Doug Live lunch boxes that we got when we were kids at MGM Studios. So Dad was picked as from the audience. So here he is being a part of the band The Beats in the show Doug Live.
Let's see if they can spot me. Let's
see if we can find you.
Okay,
Now
here we go.
remember, you'll never see these people again, so go for
Right
it,
in the
all
middle
right?
with the yellow pants.
You see me in the
Now,
center.
ready? 1, 2, 3.
From second to the left. That was pretty hot. And then we dressed in the costumes.
And right here, he's at the far right. Far right.
You never know, though. My big spirit.
And you were a part of the Beats. You were Flounder with the blue wig.
The blue
and
with
this
that.
was back.
I was Flounder. I vaguely remember I did put that clip in one of my videos at some point, but we have, as you all know, I have over 2,300 videos on YouTube, and I numbered the edited ones, but the live ones I don't number. But I'd have no idea where it was now.
And that was 22 years ago. And poor mom, she has baby Terry, 9-month-old Terry with her, and then I'm next to her.
Yeah, Pam filmed while holding the baby. So my wife was filming, and of course back then it was VHS. So
Thanks, Mom.
super VHS.
So later down the line, when you're making more infomercials, you wanted Terry and I to be in them. And so we would come in. I just remember Mom would be like, put us in our prettiest little dresses, and we'd come spend the day with you, and you'd film us. So here's our 2002, just a little segment of me in it, and here we go.
Now, where did she go? Tammy is playing one of the classics. This is Galaga. And this is presented in a brand new edition. How you doing, baby?
Bye, everybody.
Say goodbye, everybody. It's time for the girls to leave. They'll be back later.
Bye. We'll see you for the next time.
That's enough. Go!
She got a slap in. Oh, they wouldn't
Not
leave.
in a mean
I had
way.
To shoot at them.
And you put the sound effect in, right?
I did. I put the sound effect in.
I don't want anybody to think I'm evil.
Yeah, she didn't actually hit my face, but she got pretty close. I felt the wind.
I was pretending. That was because I grew up with a lot of Three Stooges. Let's just be honest
man.
there. Uncle Rob says, "Does this mean my 8-track is worthless?"
Oh, it's coming back. Do you know my 8-track tape YouTube video is one of my top 10 videos on my channel out of 2,300?
Why do you think that is?
People love it. And Frank suggested that I took a tape 8-track player apart to clean it for one of the arcade games. Believe it or not, 8-tracks were used heavily in the 60s and 70s. The soundtracks for a lot of these gun games had an 8-track player in there with music and everything. Believe it or not, that's how they did their sound. They didn't have the electronic sophistication yet. So
Joe wants to know, was I compensated for my on-screen time?
I spanked her.
I got lots of donuts. That was my thing. When they would order a ton of donuts.
Oh, do you have that picture of the donuts? Oh, gosh.
I don't have the picture on me now, but
somebody took a picture of her and her donuts. Got her fingers in them. Oh, boy.
Little Blue says, wouldn't you guys want Roger Rabbit to return? Absolutely.
Well, you know, they had a great at Disneyland. The Roger Rabbit is still there.
The ride, yes.
The ride is still there. And
we like the ride.
Memories. It's a great ride. It's a great ride.
We were supposed to get something like that at Disney World. It was going to be a trolley ride, and now it kind of merged into the Mickey's Runaway Train.
Which is terrific.
So, but we do miss Roger Rabbit. I wish they would bring him back in some capacity. I remember growing up watching the short films that were made at MGM Studios.
Well, I'm actually, I do have Roger Rabbit on 16 millimeter, and I have Tummy Trouble currently on our birthday party reels.
Oh, yay! Okay, good. Keep
Tummy
it there because I want to come when I come over there. I want to watch it.
The print's pretty
one of my
deep.
favorites.
It's got some lines in it, and it's been run 2,000 times, 3,000 times. But, you know.
Gina wants to know, what's my most amazing Disney memorabilia? Well, there's a couple pieces that I have that I can't announce yet because they might be making an appearance at Retro WDW. So I can't tell those, but I do have the jacket of the milk carton singer Sting in Food Rocks.
Yes.
I got that on eBay, and they had him and the little Richard Pineapple Cher had a jacket, and they had all of these on eBay. And I actually really wish I had bought all of them. I should have bought all of them, but I was like
You're one of a
14,
kind.
and it was $150, which was a lot of money for a 14-year-old. But I saved enough money, and Dad, you bought it for me, and I paid you back for it. And I have it in my collection. So I love that. That's one of my favorite. But also our home videotapes, because Dad documented everything, which was great. And then he would take photos. And then my mom also, hi, Mom. She would take those photos and put them in these beautiful photo albums that we still have, and we will go through. And that's where you're seeing some of these great shots, is because they were all in order from the year that they were taken. And so, you guys documented a lot for us, which, was great. And Uncle Rob was mentioning that he misses our old garage. So here's another clip from another infomercial, maybe about like 2-3 years later.
Welcome to my game room. I collect mini games. Come on in and I'll show you around. I collect mini games because you can fit more in the small area of space. And they're also ideal for many people. I happen to have little Terry here. What's your favorite game?
Pac-Man.
Pac-Man, eh? All of a sudden, the baby was dropped. Whoop! Would you like to play? Here, come on.
Little Terry.
Yeah, girl.
I'm sorry I sold all the mini
I
games.
love to watch. Good girl. I have over 58 mini dedicated games in my collection now, including Gorf. Tammy.
I will play a video game with you.
Sure, we can play a game, but what's the magic word?
Now!
That's right! Let's play!
The magic word now. See, I
remember being nervous to do that. Like just to do the line before that, and where that's why I'm flubbing up, but I knew what to do with now.
now.
You taught us well.
Well, I did write the script, didn't I? Written
Jerry
and
says that he actually
directed.
filmed in that Roger Rabbit area
Oh, wow.
with Goldie Hawn.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Boy,
That's really cool.
Jerry has worked with so many stars. Oh, my gosh.
James
Cool.
Bond says, Todd, you're very funny. You make me laugh. Thanks, James Bond.
And that's the title of the brand new pinball machine.
Ronald Kuhn says, I still make 8 tracks for arcade games.
Yes. As a matter of fact, I had sent some 8 tracks out to be fixed. And you can actually get your 8 tracks repaired. They'll clean the tape. They'll put new spindles and new wheel in it. And you'll get the tape back and be like new and play perfect. So 8 tracks are still being collected. Believe it or not, it's hard to believe. And they're still out there, and there's still a lot of people that have them.
Jerry wants to know, who was your most memorable pinball purchaser?
The singer Ryan Adams.
I don't think we should mention him. Why don't you talk about the guy who rented the Pac-Man and you got tickets to see him live?
Oh, okay. I got called that Sammy Davis Jr. was in town performing at the stadium with Frank Sinatra, or not Frank Sinatra. His son was the orchestra leader. It was Liza Minnelli.
And Frank Sinatra Jr.?
Well, he was playing. Maybe it was Frank. It's been so many years.
I think it was Frank Sinatra because he didn't pass away till 96.
That's
and
great.
This was
The
like
son was
way long
playing the
ago.
orchestra. That must have been. And what happened is they wanted to rent a Pac-Man cocktail because Sammy Davis Jr. is one of the requirements. He had to have it in his hotel room. So we delivered it, and he wasn't there yet. We put it in, set it up. It was playing, and then he wanted to put a speed up chip in it, and he couldn't get it in it. So they asked me to drive down, and I went into the room and I met him. Was in the room, and we put the speed up chip on the board for him, so he could play Pac-Man or Miss Pac-Man with the super speed. He loved that. He loved playing this game. He just loved it. He was so nice. He was very gracious and nice. And I got paid for the rental, and they also said, we're going to give you 4 tickets to the show. So I went, the 3 of us and me went down, and we had these tickets, and there was no numbers on them or anything. It just so we kept going in, and they said, well, we came in the top of the arena. It was at the old Spectrum. It was huge place where they did sports things, and they put the stage in the center. And they kept saying, that's down there, that's down there. We kept going down lower and lower and lower. And we finally got down to the ground floor where the stage was. And they said, that's right over there. We had front row seats to see these 3 performers. It was amazing. And the downside of being on the front row is I remember when Liza Minnelli spun like this while she was dancing, we got splattered with sweat because they were dripping. These performers were dripping on stage. And I remember getting all the sweat all over. But we couldn't have...
By Liza.
By Liza alone, I never. Yeah. But it was an amazing performance. All 3, it was amazing. One of a kind. It never happened again, of course. But who knows? Yeah. That was neat. I kind of forgot all about that. I couldn't even remember who it was.
And why don't you tell the story about this one last picture I have?
That's Bob. A lot of you have seen it. We did a tribute to Bob. Tammy and I went down to the TLA, that's the theater in Center City that used to play the Rocky Horror Picture Show at midnight as a movie theater back then. But they converted it to live shows. And Bob made an appearance there, and I called, and we had been in touch just off and on over the years. And I said, we want to, we'd love to come down to, I got tickets to the show. He says, oh, I'll take care of all that. And he invited us backstage. We were backstage for, I guess, about 20 minutes after the show. He's exactly as he is in person as he was on the show. Gracious, nice. We joked about all the fun we used to have at Temple. Brought back memories. He used to come to my movie theater because we ran movies in the Student Activity Center on film. And we used to joke about it. And Bob loved my bloopers. I would put pieces of film together. I called it movie memories. And then I would have one where it was the Jaws trailer, and it goes through the wood, dun, 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 dun. And then at the end, I chop off the Jaws logo, and I put in a still from The Flying Nun, but from the TV show, and it would say The Flying Nun. It was still in the film. So the Jaws trailer would turn into The Flying Nun. And it worked because we couldn't re-record or do anything. We had to physically splice the film together. And Bob used to come to my shows when we used to run those at the Student Activity Center, and he would sit in my office and laugh. I had an office, too. A real office. So back in the
Arcade Hollywood says, did Bob ever pay you a visit to TNT?
No, he didn't.
Well, that was the whole thing. You had emailed him to ask him to come, and we were going to treat him to lunch, and he invited us to come see him at the show and offered us really great tickets.
I said, come on out, we'll run some old movies or something, but he couldn't get away. You could imagine how busy this guy is, and or what.
Yeah.
And
it was really sad when he passed because I grew up watching him in Full House. So
yeah, it was he was a great guy, and he was, as I said, a really nice man and very, very funny. He would tell jokes in my office. He'd just be roaring with laughter. He was naturally funny, very gifted.
Well, let's take a look at your most controversial work. I think in the pinball industry, people just don't like this, and let's show it.
But you know what? I've got just the solution. Okay, boys, let her go.
No.
Here's another game you'll never see at the auction.
Black Knight. Gathered.
Rowan, why don't you tidy this up a bit? Maybe we can take it to the auction after all. They'll buy anything in an auction.
That was my stab at people trying to buy games from the auctions instead of from me.
Joe says, "Oh, the horrors! No, Todd, no." Arcade Hollywood says, "No." And Jerry says, "Fun."
And now I robbed that, throwing him off the roof, from David Letterman, who threw a Spider-Man off the roof, in one of his shows. But David took the legs off. I left the legs on. So I did it differently, and I also added them as Pac-Man.
But they were not games that were really able to be refurbished.
Well,
that was the point, right?
You can't restore everything. People don't understand when this equipment gets this old. We have to combine two to make one. As a matter of fact, shuffle bowling alleys, we usually have to combine three to make one. You can't bring everything back to life. You just can't.
No.
And it's physically impossible. We try to sell stuff. Right now, out and back of my loading dock area, for anybody to take, I threw out a game called Silent Scope. I was just tired of fiddling with this cabinet. It was too big. It won't go in somebody's house. So I took some of the guts out. I kept it, and I have the monitors out there in the cabinet. Nobody even wants it for free. So it's another cut, something to be tossed off the roof. You just can't do everything.
No, you can't. But next time you do it, I want to be there so I can push them off myself.
If I tried doing that again, I'd be crucified. Now that was 1995. The footage you saw was
that was sooner. That was like 2002.
No. You got the 2002 footage is all different.
Okay, but that was from the YouTube clip from in 2002.
No,
I just pulled it.
No.
Okay.
The 95 one, the one you opened with.
It's not 95. It's too new.
You know what? I think this is a bet we're going to do, young lady, and you're going to.
Okay, we can bet on it. We can bet.
Daddy Pop steak and eggs, if I'm right.
Okay, steak and eggs for whoever's right.
Right. That was just the Miss Pac-Man and Black Knight. In 2002, I threw 13 games off the roof.
That's a lot of games.
It's 13.
A lot of games. Now, why don't you tell us a little bit about your social media pages and where we can find you and watch more of your YouTube videos?
Instagram, TNT Amusements, I think Inc. It should be easy to find. TikTok, TNT Amusements. Obviously YouTube, TNT Amusements Inc. Facebook. Why not? Join me on Facebook. That's easy too. It's TNT Amusements Inc. We do have the best offer sales. We do every other week, and we have our next shows this Sunday. You join us. We have a lot of fun. You can chat alongside, just like you're doing now. And you can bid if you want on some of the garbage, the great stuff we're selling. And I had to clip that. And I do that on purpose when I say the garbage. You know what I'm doing. This is what you do when you're me. But I hope you're.
By the way, they say I'm always right.
Well, Tammy, I'm sinking my teeth into that steak.
Emily says she loves us. Thank you, Emily. Arcade says excellent job. Thank you so much.
Now, does Tammy take after me?
Yes.
The nose? Oh, we got a big nose, don't we?
Let me show one last clip. This is my favorite bloopers from your blooper reels. This one always gets me.
We also provide free party invitations. There's even a map that shows you how to get here for your guests. High quality 3-color invitations. And they're free. We also provide free invitations to your party. See, I'm holding it upside down. See? We also provide free. One
like
more
it.
time, and this is it. We also provide free 3-color wedding invitations. We also provide. Folks, it's 3 in the morning. It's 3 in the morning.
God, and it was 3 in the morning. That was
3
from
in the morning.
obviously the 2002 infomercial, and we were trying to get it done because I had a deadline, and but oh my gosh. But you
Jerry
can see
says
that
you're a wonderful storyteller and presenter. Puck says he had a wonderful time tonight. Scott says great job. And Analyzer says they wanted to see the clip when we sing at TNT Amusements. So the way you're supposed to sing it is at TNT Amusements, where you are more. And then Dad taught us where TNT Amusements, where we treat you like trash.
Well, we changed that to the S word, where we treat you like.
Not on this show.
I didn't say it. I know about blooping. We're live. I can't bloop it.
It's 3 in the morning and you want to go to bed. Todd says,
Dude, I was
at
so
last.
tired in that damn suit.
Too early in the morning. I don't know how you ran and did all of that so early in the morning. So, but I'm so glad we got to talk. But let's take that pin off from Cinemagique and from the project that you worked on for me, which was my next album, which is my next Walt Disney World themed cover album. Dad actually is singing in the choir for one of the songs, which is called Main Street USA, right? So you came into the recording studio. We finished that, and the album will be out in the middle of April. More news to come. And one of the songs is going to be an original song I wrote, which is an homage to Cinemagique, and the song is called Cinematic. So I didn't want you guys to think I forgot to mention that, but you'll get to hear Todd sing again because he did the Great Outdoors for the first album, and now he has another fun song from the theme parks.
Remember the Great Outdoors? Ain't nothing but the great outdoors to ease your soul. You can see all of this on Tammy's channel too.
Jerry says, I can't wait to hear your Cinemagique song. I'm getting nervous for you to hear it, Jerry. This will be fun. I'm excited. And now this year, it's not just the digital copies. It's a physical CD that you can get. So we'll be doing a live show, and Dad will be on the live show, and we'll give away the CD, and Dad and I will both sign it for whoever's the winner, right?
With a silver marker.
So thank you guys all for watching all these great questions.
Thank you guys.
This was a lot of fun, and thanks to my dad for being the first interview of 2023. I'm excited that we finally got to have you on the show, and a shout out to my mom who's watching, who sent some good questions tonight. Thanks, Mom.
She did.
I appreciate you guys all watching. If you enjoyed this interview and other reunions I've done on my channel, check out the rest of them at youtube.com/Tammy Tuckey. Please subscribe and comment and continue this conversation with both of us. We're both on social media. You can find us anywhere, and you can find more about me at TammyTuckey.com, more about TNT Amusements at TNTAmusements.com. Definitely watch all those infomercials on YouTube. It was fun to watch them again. So, and thanks to my dad for being here. Thanks, Dad. I appreciate it
very much. Yes, we had a good time tonight, and she did surprise me.
Yes. And of course, we will see you very soon, hopefully. And remember that living is good. Good night, everybody.
Good night, folks. Thanks for watching.